Okay, hello. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Create With Me Wednesday. My name is Michelle Adamas, and I'm the owner of Vintage Revival Design Co. I am so happy to be back here with you this week. If I skip a week, it seems like it's been much longer, at least to me. But I'm really glad to be back to creating with you. As some of you know, thank you so much for all those that sent their well wishes as we welcomed our very first grandbaby. It's an experience like no other, as I know some of you are familiar with, but I'm brand new. And it's amazing. It's just amazing. So thank you so much for those well wishes. So today we're going to be working on, I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do today. And I've been starting to go through these. Okay, I think they're probably, somebody would say I hoard them, but I think it's more of a collection is what I'm trying to decide. But anyway, I have a bunch of, let me pull this up. I've got a bunch of these bowls. This started out as a wooden bowl. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this. These are called out of round. Because they're not perfectly round. So a lot of times the abbreviation, if you're ever searching for them online, is OOR, so out of round wood bowl. And so this started out brown. I was going to do something different with it for spring, and then I got bored with it, didn't know what I was going to do, and so I put it aside. But I have many, many, many of these bowls in various sizes. And so I thought I would just try something different with it. And since fall is coming up, I chose a fall paper that we're going to work with today. This is an older fall projects block. It has on one half of the sheet, it has these darling fairies and the leaves. It's really beautiful, a fall scene. And then, but this is the part that we're going to be working with. So it's got these beautiful, beautiful fall colors. And I just thought it would be a really pretty thing to work with. We're going to be working with a couple of colors of Roycycled paint. So we're going to do a salt wash finish, and we're also going to decorate this bowl. I love wood bowls for things like, you add a little candle ring and a candle in them. I love them for a catch-all, something to drop your keys in or something like that, depending on the size. I just like to do vignettes with them. I just think they're really charming, and I like that they're old and that they're not a perfect shape. So anyway, to get started, the first thing I want to do, because we do have several steps in this, so bear with me, this might be a little bit longer than we're used to with me. And so the first thing that I want to do, this has already been cleaned out. It was previously painted and sealed. So I am free to go ahead and just repaint this. And so you can do this. You'll notice that I am not going to strip this, but I do want to give this a white surface to work with for our decoupage. So I'm just going to squirt some paint. This happens to be 1 Hour Enamel in Antique Villa by Wise Owl, if I didn't say that. And I'm just going to take an artist brush, and we're going to get some in here. I'm going to go around here. And if you pop on here, if you're watching, please say hello and let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if it's your first time here. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, let me know where you're watching from geographically and where you're watching from online. I'd love to know. It's always, I'm always curious to know where you're tuning, what page you're tuning in from. So I got a little too much paint in here, and I'm not even worried about being really smooth with it, but I definitely got too much paint in here. I squirted out a little bit. So it's why I should have gone. I'm going to go ahead and go over this edge here. And the 1 Hour Enamel will cure almost fully in about an hour, and then it's fully cured in about 10 to 14 days. And we use it usually for things like trim and doors, but we paint furniture with it. I've been using it a lot for projects lately because it is so good with transfers and all of that. So it's very, very durable, and I love, love, love it. And I've got way, way, way too much paint in here. So I'm going to take a dry brush and just get some of that paint off. The extra paint just went a little heavy. I may be a little out of practice since I was off. Hi, Lori. Thank you so much for saying hello. And I don't know why I always thought that you were in Ohio, but you're in Indiana. So you must, I'm thinking maybe you're on the border of Ohio, Lori. You don't have to answer that online. But anyway, I was just always thinking you were from, oh no, you were moving. I remember that now. I hope that went really smoothly. Now I remember. Now I remember. All right, so I've got this in here and I'm just going to smooth it out because I really did get too much, but I've got a good surface for what we're going to do next. And I'm going to set this aside to dry a little bit. And while I'm doing that, I want to go ahead and fussy cut this little butterfly. I think this is the one that I want to use, but I may go ahead and do both. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut him out. I'm going to go ahead and cut my paper so that I can get some of this out of the way. And I'll have that other sheet with the fairies to go ahead and use. So right now I'm just cutting off at the decorative strip here. I think I just cut into the whole paper, but that's okay. We'll be all right. So I've got that strip. I'll set that aside. And this is the butterfly that I want to work with. And so just to make it a little easier, I'm going to go like this, and then we'll fussy cut. I think I'll cut out both so that I can see if it's going to work. I just think this is these butterflies, or maybe it's a moth. It's probably a moth, but I'm not sure. But I just love the colors in it. I think they're beautiful for fall. I am going to go ahead and paint in any little antennas if I need them, and go ahead and just work with this because those little legs are very thin. Okay, so I'll set all of that aside. So it's a simple little project that we can do. I think that's easy. So you were following your grands. Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Lori. Our new baby granddaughter is only 2.5 hours away. And I swear it feels like, oh my gosh, it just feels really far, but it's not. And I'm so grateful that we don't live on a different coast, because I think that, you know, I'm just grateful. It could be a whole different scenario. You know, my husband retired from the military, and that was a lot of moves. And when we had our children, our family never lived close by, but our daughter-in-law's family lives just a couple of towns over from she and my son and our granddaughter. So I know they have lots of nearby support, and we will certainly be going to see them as often as we can. And we're going to get to FaceTime with them tonight. So I'm super excited. She's already a week old, and I'm just, oh my gosh, she's just, I know you know, Lori. I know you know what this is all about. So, and I don't mean to sound like I'm the only person that's ever had a grandchild, but I'm a new grandmother. So I'm still like, oh my gosh, this is just, oh, I can't get over it. It's just an amazing feeling. So let me go ahead. I'm just going to fussy cut this guy out a little bit, and I'll do the other one too. And like I said, if I need any little, you know, antennas or anything like that, I'll paint them in because they're just too thin to do now. So this is the hardest part. Oh my goodness, that is so great, Lori. Oh my gosh, so you just get to see them all the time, and that is amazing and wonderful. So I'm so glad that your move went well, and that you're getting settled and that you're close to your family. I think that's amazing. Okay, so I'm going to, I really should have my glasses on, ladies, for this, but that's okay. I'm going to just do it. If it gets a little bit of the white, that's okay too. I'm all right. So we're going to be doing a salt wash technique. We're going to be decoupaging, and we're going to be aging the project. And so we got a lot going on for this, for such a small project. But like I said, I have a lot of these bowls. I think they're really charming. They're super useful. I used to display them all in a bowl rack, actually, on the wall, and then I'd pull them off for, you know, whatever I needed, if I was serving in them or something like that. But I just love them, but they're just sitting downstairs in my, what am I going to do with this pile? I will say that my, what am I going to do with this pile is getting smaller. And so that makes me super happy. I committed myself to repurposing things that I have. You know, as many of you know, I have a shop and I'm constantly needing new inventory for that. And I just thought, you know, I'm going to repurpose, you know, what I have too, instead of just always defaulting to, you know, buying new. And I like the idea of being able to, you know, put in there things that I've made. It also helps people understand how to use the products that I represent. Hi, Colleen. Hi, Mike. Not sure which one of you. I'm going to assume it's Colleen. How are you? All right, so I've got my 2 butterflies fussy cut it out, and we're going to set those aside. Now we're going to take the bowl that I put way too much paint in, and we are going to give this, we're just going to dry this really quick. I hope, I'm going to take a little bit more paint out again and see if this dries pretty quickly. And I'm going to end up roughing it up, but I think that's okay because it'll be nice with the texture of the finish that we put in. Okay, so I've got the excess paint out, but let's go ahead and give this a dry, and then we're going to do our salt wash finish on the rest of the bowl. Hi, Lori. How are you? I have 2 Loris today. It's so nice to see you here. Thank you for joining and saying hello. I appreciate it. So again, this is the antique villa, and the only reason it was close by, I could have used white gesso, I could have used white acrylic. I just want a light background so that when I decoupage into my bowl, that it is going to, you know, allow all of these beautiful colors to really pop. And I'm not sure which butterfly I'm going to use. So let's just see what we do. I've got probably about 10 more of these bowls in various sizes, and I won't do all the same things with them, but I definitely want to, you know, reuse them and get them back in service for me or for somebody else. So, okay, I am going to be doing, let's see, it's pretty dry. This dries shiny. It dries to more of a satin or an eggshell finish. But when we put the matte sealer, it's going to mattify this whole project. So it will have no sheen, not like this. So you can see it's a little shiny right there if it catches in the light, but it won't be. So that's something to know. So it's a little wet right here, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and go to the next step. So remember, I had thought I was going to do something else with this and didn't. And so, but I cleaned it, it's been sealed, and I can paint right over it. So I chose a couple of colors by Roycycled. This is showing up a little more navy in the light, at least on my screen, and it's not. And then I have Siren Song. Both of these are more of a blue-green, but they're not showing up like that. But the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this red rock color, and I'm going to mix a little bit of the color earth in it. And I want to make something that is going to kind of pick up the orange, and also because orange and blue are great together. So I'm going to just add a little bit of brown into my mixing dish here. And then I'm going to add some of that red rock in there. I'm going to go ahead and leave this. I'm going to make up quite a bit because I'm just going to do a salt wash mixture in here. So I'll put the earth aside, and then let's go ahead and put the red rock in here. I want to make this more of an orange instead of a coral color, which is why I'm adding the brown. So if you're ever without a certain color, you can always do something like that. You can always just add, you know, kind of mix your own kind of custom color in there. And I'll just work with this and see if I can get it where I want it. I'm going to take that off of there, and let's mix this brown in here. I just want to get something a little, not quite as bright. And I may need a little bit more of that. The color that I really love to use is Discontinued by Roycycled. And I used up the last of it that I had. It was a color called Saffron Thread. And I absolutely loved it, but it is not available anymore. So I put too much brown in there. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more of this. And then we'll see how it goes. So it's kind of I'm not being, I could be a little bit more measured about it, but I'm not. I just want to deepen up that color a little bit, just like that. So it's going to be a little bit more muted and it'll show up. So it's kind of it's just a little bit more muted, not quite as bright. It's not quite the orange, but I guess it's kind of just a clayish color. And I think that's fine. Okay. So now what I want to do is into that, I'm going to mix a little bit of salt wash. I actually am going to add just a little bit more coral in there just to get a little bit more of the red clay. So I'm going to just mix a little bit more of that. I guess I could have done this with mandarina too, and that might have worked a little bit better, but we'll be okay. And I don't mind that it's a little bit like that. All right, so I'm going to add some salt wash into this mixture. Salt wash is an additive for texture. Some people use baking soda or something like that. I do like the salt wash. It does add really nice texture, allows you to sand back to the color that that we're creating. Mixing it in a small container, it's much easier, or a small section of a styrofoam dish. And so it's much easier to mix it into a bowl. You want it to be fairly thick, kind of like a cake batter. I sometimes will go a little bit thicker than most people. That's just my preference, but it all works out. So I'm going to just mix this in. I'm kind of making a mess here. And it doesn't change the color of your paint. So that is something that I like about it. It's not going to affect the color. So how many of you have used salt wash before? I would love to know. So now it's just kind of this muted, corally, but it's like it's muted and soft. And I like that. And I think it pairs well with the colors that I'm using. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm just going to use this 1-inch round brush. What I like about it is that it's flat. And so if I were to put a rubber band around the top of this, it would be great as a stencil brush as well. This is just a Roycycled 1-inch brush, but I'm going to go ahead and tap into this, dip into this. And what I'm going to do is, in a pouncing motion, I am going to tap all along. And what I'm doing is this is creating a texture that when I paint over it and sand back, then this is going to be, this corally color is going to show through in the slightest way, depending on how much I sand. But I'm going to go all over this. So it's a really nice way. There are so many ways to get 2-color finishes. And I just love this. So Lori has used the salt wash and with a heart. So I'm assuming that you love it as much as I do. And so there are all kinds of things. You can do resist, you can do dry brushing, you can do various crackle mediums. They're just, wax resist, all of those things. But this is a really nice way to get a little texture in there. And if you go a little thick, you want to just take your brush and kind of go back on the peaks a little bit. And so I did get this just a little bit thick. And so I can just add a little bit of water to this. I'm just going to spray some water and then I'll just mix that up again. And it will give it a little bit. You can also use salt wash as a paste for doing raised stenciling. So that's really pretty too. If any of you were with me when I did the compote with all of the molds, or I guess we call it the urn, but if you had done that, that was used with salt wash for my stencil medium for a raised stencil. So it's a pretty versatile product and I like it very much. So I'm going to just do this And as I said, this is just going to take a little bit longer. And we have I think it's Sandy. Hi, how are you? From Maryland. Oh my goodness, you're close to me. So I am in Virginia, close to DC. So, all right, so we're just going to go all the way around this. It does dry fairly quickly. So does the chalk synthesis paint, but it's funny because I find that when you add the salt wash to it, I don't know if any of you have found that, but I feel like it dries pretty quickly, which is super nice. And so we're going to do this part, and then I'm also going to do the outer rim of the top of this bowl, but we're going to get the bottom done first. And so I'm just stippling this on. I could have used a bigger brush, but I had used it this morning and it wasn't quite dry. So I am just going here. We're almost there. This takes just a little bit. Again, you want to pounce, and then you can kind of use your brush to smooth back any big peaks that you might have. And we'll go from there. But it's got great adhesion too. Let's see. And you're in Charles County. Okay, yeah, so that isn't far at all. That isn't far at all. All right. Okay. I am going to do this. You can use a chip brush for this. That works really well. But you can see like we've got all of this like yummy texture. And I think that's really a nice touch, especially to something old. Oops. It's going to get a little louder here. As I get good coverage. I don't even mind if a little bit of that original yellow shows through. I'm okay with that. And then we'll do this. We have, I think it is Deborah. Hello, Deborah. Hi, Dawn. How are you? And from Minnesota. Oh, my goodness. You're coming to Virginia next summer. Oh, my goodness. Oh, well, reach out to me when you come and let me know that you're going to be in town. And if you need recommendations for places to go, I don't know if you're coming to Northern Virginia or if you're going to a different area, but if you're in the DC area, I'm going to add a little bit more paint to this, you guys, because I really did go just a little too thick. Even though I like it thick, I just went a little too thick. And it's making it a little difficult to get on there. So I'm going to mix just a little bit more paint and a little bit more water and just work with that. Just spray with my squirt gun. So are you going to the DC area, Deborah, or are you going someplace else in Virginia? There are many beautiful places. We've got like, the beach area. We have the Shenandoah Valley. We've, Charlottesville is beautiful. It just depends. I actually tell people that it's easier to tell people that you live, whenever I say Virginia, I think people don't realize, just how close we are to Washington, D.C. So I say the D.C. area, and but that also includes Maryland and, all of that. So, okay. We came here when my husband was in the military, and then we were transferred somewhere, and then we had a choice when he left the military. We had a choice between here and Boston, and as much as I love Boston, we had already lived here and knew people, and just felt like it would be such an easier transition. And so this is where we landed, and we've been here forever. So okay. Oh, with the paper, you did make a tray. It's a beautiful paper, Susan. It's just beautiful. I love it. I still have quite a bit of it, and I'm thinking that it is from, I want to say it's from 2021, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But it is a fall project block paper. So hi, Deidre. How are you? Thank you so much for saying hello, everybody. I really appreciate it. And Carol, oh my goodness, hello from Australia. Good morning. I think you're having coffee while we're creating. Thank you so much for joining. That's so nice. Okay, so this is going to dry pretty quickly. The thicker parts will take just a little bit longer. Chalk synthesis paint is going to be lighter when it dries. So you're going to see the true color in the can, but when it dries, it's lighter, and then you're going to get the true color again when you seal it. And so chalk synthesis paint, unlike the Wise Owl 1 hour enamel, always has to be sealed. And it can be sealed with salve or wax or varnish or whatever your top coat is. I really, really love the 1 hour enamel clear. I used to just be a matte varnish girl, but when I realized how beautifully it works with transfers, and I can decoupage with it and I can seal with it, it's kind of become my go-to. So that's really, really what I enjoy. Okay, so it's dry enough for me to flip this over, and I'm going to take a smaller brush. So you can see I got a little bit of paint here. The other nice thing about chalk synthesis paint is that until you seal it, you can remove it. And it's also something that you can wet distress. So that means that you could, instead of sanding, do something here. I got a little bit of a blue, or a little bit of I picked up that where the paint might not have been quite dry. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this here. And I'm going to take a smaller brush, and I'm going to, let's see if I've got a round brush that I can use. I'm going to see if I can use this makeup brush to do it. I don't know if it might be too smooth, but we'll see if we can get that. That's not going to work. So I'm going to go ahead. Do I have a chip brush in here? I don't. All right. We'll just work with what we've got. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this up. And I want to go around here as well. And I might go a little more smoothly here. Just like this with my salt wash. I'm still going to get some texture, but I'm going to kind of brush it on a little bit more and then smooth it out with my fingers so that I can kind of keep a clean edge. So I'll go like this, and I always like to let my edge work for me. And then I'll just kind of stipple it with my brush like this, just like that. So I'll kind of smooth it on and then stipple it with my paintbrush. And then I'll still get that texture, but I want the rim to have this color as well, if that makes sense. Okay, and then we've got Marla from Rhode Island. Hello, thank you so much for saying hello. All right, so this is the part that takes just a little while. And but I want to go ahead and get the finish on the bowl first. And that way I'll be ready to decoupage as kind of my last step. It also lets that 1 hour enamel set up while we're doing all the other things. And so I'm just going to stipple in here for texture, and I'm going to clean up and then use my finger just like that to rub. It'll all make sense when we get the finish on. Okay. So this is just that kind of muted coral salt wash mixture that we made up. This is great. We did our fireplace with this, I took a German schmear online class, and German schmeared with salt wash. It was a whole lot of paint and salt wash, and I absolutely love it. It's still one of my favorite DIY projects that we've done in our home, and I just love it. So salt wash has just a ton of potential for things. All right, so let's stipple with our brush just so we get some of that texture, because I'm going to want that to show through. Just like that, and we're almost done. I'll just kind of clean that out a little bit, and then hopefully I won't make too much of a mess on the inside of my bowl. And we'll do that. And we have yesterday's tomorrow is here. And Sandy, I work from home, but I have a retail space in Leesburg, Virginia. It's my space is my business name, Vintage Revival Design Co., but it's inside the Lazy Daisy gift store. in Leesburg, Virginia, and it is in the Village Market shopping center. So it's a really cool shopping center. It is, they have lots of restaurants. Um, the facility managers, they have lots of events. It has a theater across the street, just all kinds of things to do. It's a really terrific, vibrant area. And I love it there. I will be there. I've been there since they opened that location, which was, it'll be 2 years in November. And I love it there. It is basically like an artisan. I don't know if it's near Itopia. I don't know if it's near there. It is off of Route 7, if you're familiar with the area, or it's not far from Ashburn, out there. So it's a little bit of a drive for me from my home, but it's worth it. And I really, it's a really great place. So it's more of what I would consider like an artisan market. And it is, every space is created and curated by a different vendor like me. And then I also have an online shop. German Schmear is, I'll have to share some pictures of you. I have some pictures on, excuse me, of my on my page, but it's been so long ago because I think I did it like 2 or 3 years ago. So Deidre lost me. I'm hoping that I'm still here. Not sure. It says that I am. Excuse me. I got something in my throat. All right. So we're going to dry this up a little bit. And then we're going to get on to the next color. I think I'm going to go with Siren Song. I had so many colors I could have chosen from. Like this is the one that I really want to use. So I thought I could use a Prussian blue. I could have gone with a Spanish olive, anything like that. But I really thought I would pull out that blue and use a little bit of the orange since, it's kind of fallish and just a really blue and orange are such a pretty combination. So I thought I would try that. Let's see if we got it dry enough. I'm going to have to go a little bit more right here. All right, let's see where we're at. Okay. And so here we've got this. I've got a little bit here, but we're not going to worry about that. And then we've got our bowl right here. This is still drying. So we'll let that dry while we work on something else. I'm going to go ahead and put that in some all right. So between the Prussian blue and the Siren Song, because I'm going to be using a stain to really kind of age this when we're done, I think I'm going to go with the Prussian blue. So again, this shows up more navy in this light, and I'm not sure why, but it is not a navy. It's actually a really vibrant blue. And maybe as we're painting it, you'll see that it really is more of just a vibrant blue. So our salt wash texture is dry. And now what I want to do is I want to take another brush. I'm just going to use a flat brush. I think this is like an F30. And I'm going to paint over this. So I'm hoping, yeah, it really is showing navy on camera and it's not. So hopefully tomorrow when I share pictures of this, I'll be able to share with you the true color because it's really not showing up well. But it's just a really pretty blue, almost a jewel tone, I would say, but not quite. It's not a cobalt or anything like that, but it is a super pretty color. And I also happen to know that it stains up really well, so that's nice too. So what I'm doing is going over the entire piece, and I'll see that I've got texture here, but what happens is that then when we sand back, our second color is going to show through. So I'm just going to get a coat on here over the entire thing. And it really does give a very nice, authentic finish to this. So let me just set this brush. I am making one heck of a mess. All right, so let's go ahead and dry this up. Again, we'll get the bottom done. I really just am so disappointed that it's showing up that color. At least on my camera, it really is. It's showing like a bright cobalt blue. And this is a paint, Susan. We are actually going to stain this finish and over the decoupage when we're done. I'll show you. I really love how doing that ages a project even a little bit more. You don't have to use stain. You could use a glaze or a watered down paint to do the same technique. But I do happen to like the gel stain, and I also like glazes. But the stain that I'm going to be using has a really nice open time. And so I feel like I'm going to be able to work with that well to do a project pretty quickly. You always, always, always want to go ahead and seal your paint before you apply a glaze or a stain so that you are not going to, especially with a porous paint like chalk synthesis paint, if the paint is porous and unsealed and you stain or glaze over it, the stain is just going to absorb into your paint. So it's no longer an enhancement. It actually is going to make your paint kind of muddy depending on what color you use. And it's not going to give you the decorative effect that you want. And so I like to use stains and glazes as just a decorative enhancement. And so I always, always seal my paint before I stain. Now, you don't need to do that with a paint usually that has a sealer built in, like the 1 hour enamel. So the 1 hour enamel already has the top coat built in, and so sealing it is not really necessary, although we will be sealing it because I will be decoupaging inside of the bowl. All right, I want to make sure that this is really dry before we sand. And you can see I've got like I've got heavier texture in some areas, lighter textures in others, and it's just pretty cool. But I do want to make sure that that paint is dry. Thank goodness for heat tools. And yes, the wood stain, yes. So this is the paint, and then we will stain it as the second to the last final step. So you want to salt wash your base color, paint over your top color, seal it, stain it or glaze it, and then seal it again, if that makes sense. I think those are the steps that we use for something like this. I don't see any other. I'm just trying to go through as I do this. Okay. Let's see if I've got enough here. Still a little, I can tell where it's a little damp in the heavier places, but we'll see. All right, so let's go ahead and just take another brush, a small brush, and we'll go ahead and do this over the orange. Again, I like to, on things like this, I just like to let my rim work for me, and then I can use my finger or I can touch up paint with white, whatever I need to do. But you can just let that edge kind of guide you. A smaller brush for something like this is great. So I'll be able to take a baby wipe and wipe the chalk synthesis paint off of my white. Or you can use a damp paper towel. Works really well too. All of this just to decoupage a butterfly in my bowl, but that's okay, right? That's okay. All right, let's do this. So I'm going to do that. I really love these colors together. And we'll do that. Almost done. Okay, I'm gonna just go here. See if I got it everywhere. All right, and now what I want to do is just take that baby wipe, and with my finger, I'm going to just kind of clean around like that and just clean that up. So because it is the chalk synthesis paint, it's so easy to do that. And then that way I'm not having to be too fussy about this does have a lot of pigment in it though, but it's going to be pretty covered up when we do this paint. This particular color always stains my bristles too. So I'll think that the brush isn't clean, but it really is. All right, let me get a clean one. And we'll do one more little pass here and get that all cleaned up, just so my edge is pretty nice. Just want to get that pigment off there. And if a little blue is in there, I'm not too worried about it. We'll just let that go, okay? And so we'll dry this up, and then we're going to be ready to decoupage, and then we will stain, and we'll be good to go. We'll sand, and then seal, and then stain. How is everybody doing? Okay, so let's all vote or say the thing. So it's only, let's see, this weekend I believe we're entering July. And if you are a maker or a retailer, or you do fairs or you sell online or anything like that, you're already starting to think about fall projects, right? And so how many of you here are makers or sellers, or you have a booth, or you do fairs, or you sell online? Let me know. I can't see that. Let me see what that is. That's either a look of horror or, oh yeah, so Susan doesn't even want to hear it. She doesn't even want to talk about fall. I know a lot of people feel that way. And yet when you do this for a living, you're kind of, oh my goodness, you just kind of have to. You just have to, or you're way too behind. So we will change the subject, Susan. That's fine. That's okay. I love that emoji. Hear no evil. So, all right, let's do that. Let's make sure everything's dry in here. And I've already picked up where it was a little bit wet, so you can see some of that orange coming through. Okay, so I'll just dry this a little bit more, or that's just where my flakes were and it's stuck in there, but that's still okay. All right, so now I'm going to take a sanding block and I'm just going to lightly sand. I'm not going to sand too heavily. But what happens is that where it's raised and you have that texture, that second color comes through. And so you're lifting off that second color. And so it really does give that worn, chippy, layered look. It's my favorite. I'm not really I appreciate a really pristine and clean finish, and I've done them. And I have clients that, that is their preference. But for me, I like something with a little character and a little bit of age. So I don't want to go too heavy on it. I just wanted some of that orange to show through, and it does. And it's actually going to show up more when we go ahead and seal this. So I did not take a microfiber cloth out, but I pulled this out to stain with. And so I just want to get that dust off. I want to just wipe back that dust as much as I can. Okay, and then hopefully I haven't messed up the inside of my bowl. And we're going to do just the same thing right here. Should be dry enough. I'm just going to go over this. And you can see how doing this, it just reveals whatever color you put underneath. And it's just a really neat look, I think. So I love, love, love this look. So I'm going to wipe this up, and we are now going to seal this bowl with the 1 hour enamel clear coat in matte. And so I'm going to use that. I'm going to need something. I have run out of space or run out of things. So what have I got in the garbage that I can pull? All right, I've got a little piece of transfer paper. So I'll go ahead and put some out on here and take my brush, and let's go ahead. Now this is where the color is going to return to its original. So can you see that? It's not just because it's wet, but once it's sealed, then your original color comes through. And this is going to go on shiny, but then it's going to dry matte, because that is the sheen that I chose. They do have a satin and they have a semi-gloss, but I just prefer the matte. It's just the finish that I like, but I know a lot of people prefer a satin finish, and that's fine too. And so we're going to just go ahead and seal that. You guys have been so patient, because this is a lot of steps and a lot of drying with the heat gun before we ever get to the decoupage. But I like my finishes to be complete. So you can see it's just, it looks like it's just worn in places that you couldn't have done on purpose. So there you go. So Dawn, you do sell on your Facebook page and at shows. I would love it if you would post the link to your Facebook page so that we can all support you. Dawn, can you do that? Feel free to. I would love it if you would. And anybody else, if you have a Facebook business page, or you sell at markets, or you could just use a little extra support, or gain some new followers, please feel free to post your link in here if you're watching and commenting here today. I'd love for you to do that. So Dawn, I'm so excited. I'm hosting a retreat in September. It's the end of September, and it's in Colonial Beach. And we now, I believe, have eight ladies who are joining. And I am so excited, because so many of them, I know one or two of them I've met in person, but the rest of them, I've always wanted to meet in person, and I've only known online. So I'm so excited to be spending the weekend creating and connecting, and just getting together. I'm so looking forward to it. So, and Dawn is coming, and so I will get to meet you in person too. I'm so excited too, Dawn. I'm so excited. Don't forget to post your Facebook page link. Okay, so let's do, this dries pretty quickly. I think we are good. Okay, so it's going to get a little bit of dust on here, and now we'll just do the same, and then we're going to be able to decoupage. So I can put that brush in there. Let's get this. You don't want to let this medium dry on your brush too easily, because you'll have to soak it for quite a while. And it is not a medium that you want to start using and then, take a phone call or something and forget about. So you really want to, pay attention to that. So I'm going to come in here. I've got a little bit more that I need to do right here. Okay, Rustic Creations. Thank you so much, Dawn. I'm going to go and follow you. And so let's do that, and then we're going to place our butterfly in. It's such a simple project that you can make it. Like, the painted bowl is really nice, but I think when we add the decoupaged element, and so what I'm going to do, because I do have a 1 hour enamel medium on this, I am going to go ahead and wrap this in my plastic wrap, because, well, actually, let's just go ahead and decoupage our butterfly in the bowl, and then we'll do our staining, and then I'll wrap it. So I'll still use this. Let me get that. Hi, Royce. How are you? So, what about the salt wash on your brush? The salt wash on my brush will clean up. I just clean it up with soap and water. And Lori, are you trying to help me out by saying that I left my brush out on my desk? So, oh my goodness, are you kidding? That would be great, Dawn. But I know Royce she's got like a million places to be. But I would love that. And so I'm going to set this aside. Let's look at our butterfly. Let's see which one we want to use. You guys can vote. Okay. So I think I really wanted to do something, like this, or, like this, or I could have two of them. I could kind of, cut him in half and have him coming off like this. But I just thought that this would be a pretty way to go. And then I think once we stain him, but I think I may just kind of go in here, and it will make more sense when we do the staining too. But I think I'm going to go like this. I usually don't like things just like in the middle like that. Maybe what I can do is when we're done, because I don't have it with me, I could stamp a little something down here too. I also have these little, I know what I'll do. I'll surprise you guys tomorrow, and I'll go ahead and add some of these little flowers, but I'll show you how I'm going to, well, no, I can't do that because we're going to be, all right, I'm going to fussy cut this out really quick because I feel like this guy needs a little something else. And so I'm going to fussy cut a flower here. Let's just do this. Okay, I will kind of go in here and in here. Sorry, guys. I thought it would be good, but I should have known better because it always needs like a little bit of layering and a little extra element, something like that, right? Okay. So let's just go. I'm thinking something like if we do this and then he's here, that at least would give it a little bit of color, and it would also pull in the orange that we're working with. So let me go ahead and just do this really quick as I can. Can you guys tell I'm a little off my game today? I am. We had a okay, I don't know about you, but I get up really early in the morning. I didn't always used to be that way. I used to be such a night owl. And so let me know if you're a night owl or a morning person. But I never was a morning person, and now I am. And so we were on a call for a retailers meeting last night, and it was so good. But it went until almost 10 o'clock my time. And so then I can't sleep because my head is like spinning with ideas, and I'm still like taking notes. And, I'm usually in bed by like 10:30 or so. It's pretty rough or pretty rare for me to be up like super late, and unless I'm traveling or something like that. But anyway, so I am a little bit dragging today, and but it was so good. Totally worth being, a little out of sorts today. But I don't know about you, but I can't, watch anything or, anything that gets my brain going too much too late at night, because then it's way too hard to turn it off. And, okay, let's go here and see if this works. This has got to be the most boring thing in the world, is to watch somebody just like fussy cut, but I think that it's going to be worth it. We're just going to go with it. I actually think I could have stamped in the background, and that would have looked really nice. So for some of the other bowls, I will do that, and I will share with you. And I think somebody just asked me which paper this butterfly came from. This is actually an older paper by Roycycled, and it's called Fall Project Blocks. but it's an older one because I believe we have a couple, one or two that are fall, also named fall project blocks. But this one's easy to spot because it does have the butterflies in it. And so it's just really, really pretty. I love the colors in it. I think they're very fall, but they're also, if you like blues and oranges and that kind of thing, it can be all year round. It just depends on what you like. All right, so that's probably good enough. And I'm thinking I might just kind of come down something, even that. Let's just, you guys, I'm just like, I don't know. All right, let's see. What can we do? Does anybody have any? Definitely morning now. Okay. So let's see. Thank you, Royce. I thought it was going to be cool, but it's needing a little something. But I think we're just going to go with it and see how we do. So let's go ahead and decoupage our flower onto here. I'm going to use the 1 hour enamel again, and I'm going to make it a little easier on myself. And I'm just going to kind of do a bigger area. I know we don't always do that, but it's a smaller piece. So I'm going to kind of do this. Royce, if you're still here, I was telling them I have so many of these out of round wood bowls and I just love them. And I admitted to kind of having a hoard of them, but I've been going through my things and just trying to use up what I've got, right? Because I want to be respectful of my resources and the things that I already have. And just, it also kind of just forces me to look at everything in a different way. So I am just going to get a little plastic wrap here. Let's do that. And I'm going to smooth that down. I think what I'm not liking about this is just that bright white background, but we're going to soften that up with the stain. So that dried really quickly. Hold on one second. And I tore it and I'm still even okay with that. I'll use my brush to kind of push it in place. Oh, I don't think I've got medium under here. Hold on. I may be making a total mess out of this. I don't have enough medium right here. Okay. Hold your breath, everybody, because, okay, there we go. I just didn't have any medium under there. And I ripped it here, but that's okay because it'll piece back together. I want to come under my paper. Okay. And I've got a wrinkle here because I don't have enough medium. All right, let's go with that. All right, so now we've got our first part in. You could just do like the whole thing in the florals. So I'm going to clean this out a little bit and we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and coat my bowl inside and lay it down that way because it's an awkward shape to try to lift up and go from the center. And I don't mind if it has a few wrinkles. That just doesn't bother me too much. And I think the leaves might come up a little bit over here, or I can sand them off, but let's see what we want to do, okay? All right, that dries pretty quickly. So let's just kind of place him in here. I will go from here, and it's round, so I could have misted him, but I didn't. I'm going to get lots of wrinkles in here. But I think it'll look nice, actually. Trust me, I'm not just saying that. I think it'll look nice when we actually age it with the stain. The wrinkles will be a little more prominent. They'll actually be accentuated. And I think what I am going to do is go ahead and sand off so that it just stays inside of the bowl. Did I lose you, or are you with me? It looks good. Oh my gosh, thank you, Susan. Because I'm always like, do you ever have those projects where you're like, this is going to be great, and then you're like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, and then you're like, oh no, it's going to be good. Then you're like, oh, and I love it. So yeah, that's just what happens. So this bowl, Donna, I was explaining, this is a vintage bowl. The manufacturer is Munsing, which is Munsing. I collected these for the longest time. They were just always never painted. They were always just a brown wood. And I collected them and would display them and use them. And I like them for all kinds of things, for serving in, for vignettes, or like as centerpieces, or candle vignettes, anything like that. So, and the shape of it is interesting because it's called, if you look on eBay for them or something like that, you want to look for something that is, they'll often call it OOR, for out of round, and wood bowl. And that is what they will typically call them, an out of round wood bowl, because they're not perfectly round. They're out of shape, which I think just makes them even more fabulous. And I love that about them. So I like taking the wings off the edge like this. And then I'm thinking the magic is about to happen when we go ahead and add our stain. But I'm going to give this another coat. I've got wrinkles because I got some medium that's missing. But again, I think this is going to work because actually the stain will accentuate this a little bit. And I want to blow this out and get any little bits that I might have gotten stuck in there. I've got a few little bits too, but I think that's okay. So now we've got our bowl like this, and you could actually, like I said, it can go on a coffee table. It could be something, anything like that. On this bowl, Donna, I am not using a food safe top coat. This one is going to be purely decorative. However, you absolutely could use a food safe top coat. When I do that, I use a product called Triple Teak. It's by Roycycled. You can find it on my website. It is an epoxy alternative, and it is food safe. But for this one, I'm just making it decorative only. And I think I love it. So I'm going to do one more little coat in here. And I got some wrinkles, but I think we're just going to make it work. But I love the colors with this. And I could have added more florals, just fussy cut some more. But I still like this the way that it is. So let's go ahead and get another coat in there. We're going to go ahead and dry that. And then we are going to go ahead and do our stain. And then you'll see that once I stain it, you'll see pretty much what it's going to look like. And then I'll spare you adding like another top coat online. So I can go ahead and put that brush away, and we'll go ahead and dry this, and then we'll stain, because I think that's when the magic happens. I'm so glad, Dawn. Thank you. And thank you, Donna. I could draw in the antenna, but I think it would be better if I just used paint, because sometimes because I'm going to be staining it, I'll use a black pen, and we'll see if it's actually going to work. I think, I'm sorry, that was Lori that asked. I'm going to be doing a dark stain, so I'll use a black pen to do that. But they were too small to fussy cut. So I just did this. So if I had chosen smaller elements, like, just all the florals or something like that, I think this would be pretty with transfers too. But if I had chosen a smaller element or had a bigger bowl to do this with, I think that I could have done the method that would have prevented any wrinkles. But I did not. So there you go. But you get the idea. The idea is that you can decoupage a bowl, I guess, right? So that's what we're doing. That's the whole point of this. Okay. All right. I think we are dry enough. Okay. Now let me get some of these brushes in. I can see like my like putting paint everywhere, and that's not going to be good for anybody. So let me set that aside. And then, okay, so I'm going to be using an English walnut gel stain. This happens to be by Amy Howard at Home. But again, you can use a glaze. You can use watered down paint in any color that you choose. You could use a metallic glaze. Because of the really kind of rustic, vintage, kind of finish on this, I'm going to go with just a brown stain, and you'll see what I mean. So to do this, I want to definitely wear gloves. Um, the stain will stain. And I've got a clean, lint-free piece of rag. This is just a cut up t-shirt. And did you know you can get those on Amazon too? They come in a great big bag, and they're going to be forever. And my husband is so grateful because I'm no longer stealing his t-shirts and doing that. So anyway, so we're going to put on some gloves, and we're going to get that. You've seen me stain. Many of you have seen me stain decoupage paper before. I love it. Especially if you fussy cut or wet cut anything, it just seems to pull everything together. And if you have any white edges on your paper, it takes care of that too. So are you ready? I think this is a really fun part of it. I am going to, so it's a yummy, yummy color. It's thick. You can actually water it down and use it as more of a glaze, but I am going to use this full strength. It smells really good too. It has like an essential oil or something in it. This is on my website too, but I use this a lot. So I am going to just dip my fingers in. And are you ready? Okay, so let's all hold our breath. Yes, order your husband new shirts. I know. He's always like, I thought I had more shirts. And I'm like, gosh, I don't know. I don't know what could have happened. And then I laugh because he knows that, he could just go into my paint cabinet and find it. So see what we're doing? We're just creating some age. And I think it's really pretty. And because we have a little texture in our paint, and I want to work pretty quickly, but because we have texture in our paint, it's settling into those details as well. And so you can see, can you see the difference in there? I just really, really like it. Soften it. You mean the stain softens it, Susan, or you're hoping that I'll do something different to soften this? I just think it does take the harshness out of the white, but it's still, because we've used the white paint, it allows our decoupage paper, to pop initially to the right color. And if I've got a little area like right in there, I can just go on the edges. And so I don't want to overwork it, but I really love I just really love that. And you'll really see it tomorrow when there isn't so much lighting going on in here, because it's a little dark here today. So I'm going to do this over the whole bowl. And I'll use my blow dryer so that I can put my hand inside this bowl. And then the next step that you want to do after you have glazed or stained is then you want to then go ahead and seal that again. But I love, love, love the antique texture of this and just how it really, really, really ages it. And you could also just do a little epoxy in there. But if you go over it too much while it's still wet, you'll actually lift it. So I'm trying to be really careful because it also dries pretty quickly, and you'll really be able to see the change when we do the bottom of the bowl. So hang on in there with me just for a few more minutes and we will be done. So I've got some wrinkles in there. I may actually go in this with a little bit of an epoxy or a diamond glaze, which is a dimensional adhesive, and just brush that in my bowl just to seal that in, because I missed some of my medium right in here. And so it's not super secure. So I think I am definitely going to do that. And I'll demonstrate how to do that in another in another live. We'll do another bowl of some kind at some point. But yeah, so I missed the medium right there. And so I can slit that and go ahead and put a little medium under that. So yeah, the paper is really beautiful, Donna. It is the Fall Projects block. You can find it on my website, but if you have a Roycycled retailer that is near you or somebody that you already work with, it is an older paper, but see, just reach out and tell them that you want the older Fall Project blocks with the butterflies and the fairies, and they should be able to know what you're looking for. Okay, see, I think this is dry enough that I can turn this over. All right, so now I want to show you. So here we've got the bowl just like this, right? And now we're going to dip this in, and we're just going to go in a circular motion, and we're just going to age that up. And I just think it adds the nicest finishing touch to the finish. So I'm going a little heavier in here just so I can get there. You could brush it on and then wipe it off. I find it just as easy just to use the rag and, wipe it back as I go. If I get a little too much, I can get a clean rag and go from there. But can you see the difference from this side to this side? I think it's just my preference that I just love, love, love it. So I will do that. Now I think I'll go ahead and I don't know if I'm going to make that. I think this will be that's what I'll do. I'll make this my video for YouTube for this week. And that way, when I do the diamond glaze and I repair the area where I have a bubble, you'll be able to see then, if you watch the video, how I address that and fix that for us. And so it takes something like we've been on like an hour, a little over an hour, but I'm able to cut those videos down to usually under 15 minutes, sometimes under 10. And it's the whole project without all of the conversation and answering questions or anything like that. But the lives are always the best place to get your questions answered. So I really appreciate you being here and watching and participating, weighing in, all the things. It really is creating with others, and that is my favorite thing to do. So let me see if I missed any areas. I don't think I did. But so what do you think? I really love the aging of the stain, but I don't know if you do. So do you prefer the stain, or do you prefer, because I think everybody's a little bit different, and do you prefer the stain, or do you just prefer it just the regular paint finish? Let me know. But watered down brown paint can do this too. It depends on your paint, and you have to understand how quickly you have to work with it. That's the only thing I would say about that. Okay. I think I got all of the areas that I didn't miss a spot. And so let me just dry this up, and I'll turn the bowl over, and then we'll be good to go. And like I said, I'll just go ahead and make this the YouTube video for this week, and I'll show you all the next steps that I do for this. I'm going to dry this up. And again, I'll go ahead and seal it with the same 1 hour enamel sealer. Yeah, I like this. I'm so glad you guys like the stain too. I like it too. I just think we don't often think that we can age the papers. And as long as they're sealed, you absolutely can. You just need to put a barrier between your paint and your stain. Okay. I really love that. Okay. So I'm going to try to hold this up a little closer so that you can see. And again, I apologize for the lighting, but we have that orange color coming through because of the salt wash. And then we've aged the entire thing because we used the stain. And so now we've used the stain in here too, and you can see where it settles into the texture of the paint. So it just makes it look a little more painted, I guess. And like I said, I'll go ahead and address my little area where I've got the bubble, but it actually may work itself out. But I do think there's an area where I missed a medium. So I'm not going to do anything to it. until I let it sit and do its thing, because a lot of times it all works itself out. But anyway, I think that is it. Ooh, I don't want to touch my computer screen with that. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Can I come on here? Okay. I almost got stained fingerprints on my desktop. So anyway, all right. I so appreciate all of you. Thank you again for coming back and for being so gracious last week when I was gone. And I look forward to creating with you. I got distracted by a comment. Oh yeah, wax paper is good. I actually have a silicone mat that I work on. So that black mat that you see is actually a silicone mat. And I'll share a little tip with you guys. This is something. So all the hand sanitizer that we all basically bought stock in for quite a long time. So this has become my new go-to cleaner, because it actually stays on ink, and it removes sealers, and it's removed metallics. And so I clean all my surfaces now with the with hand sanitizer, and then sometimes rubbing alcohol and stuff like that. So that's a little tip. If you still have an overstock of hand sanitizer, you can put it to good use in your craft room. So anyway, thank you everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Thanks for everything. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. If you're watching this on replay, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks everybody for being here live. You make it so much fun and such a joy to create here. I will see you next week. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Take care.